dinner. And it's probably a little awkward because some of us have had a very bad day. Some of us have had a terrible day. What does the dinner look like? Is everyone tense or what?
Speaking for Sabre, he's just tired. I think he's half falling asleep. He's been trying to punch things all day, so it's been a long day between that and the emotional trauma.
Yeah, he's had to have emotions most of the day, which is bullshit, first of all.
He hasn't had those in a long time, and he does not like them. They're
2 out of 10. Very negative Yelp review.
Yes.
What about everyone else? How is everyone else doing?
Well, I feel like Ellian is falling back on just okay, things are awkward, going to formal etiquette mode as I can. So he's just, trying to make small talk, but most of the others are not really up for it. So I think he's trying to make small talk, and most people are just kind of understandably shaken, and Cassandra never really understood small talk, because...
Nope, she's not talking at all.
And, so eventually he just turns to Maeveris, because, she's able to keep up conversation. She's still bright and peppy. And, yes. So, if I wanted to get an instrument here, do you know any shops nearby?
Her eyes light up and she says, "Oh, you wouldn't have to buy one. I have quite a rare collection back at my estate. We should go there sometime."
I couldn't possibly.
"Oh no, darling, I insist." Dorian's like, "You have an estate? You spend so much time here. I forgot that you have a home that you own." And then Varys is like, "Sarcasm is unbecoming of you, Dorian." She says, "But no, my late husband was quite an accomplished musician, and I still have many of his little instruments just lying around the house. Better that they see some use than collect dust."
Well, if you insist,
Oh, I do. I do insist, of course. I'd love to see a talented bard put them to use.
I think he just smiles, brightly, because that's... Someone thinks I'm talented.
I'm just sort of taking this on faith. I've never actually heard you play, but I assume you're very talented.
I roll my eyes loudly from the end of the table.
Maeveris puts an extremely large scoop of food on your plate, Sabre, and she says, "Eat up, dear, you look famished."
I glare at her.
Oh no!
That's the worst. Oh god, he hasn't had a mother in so long.
Oh no!
But in all fairness, that's all he does. He glares at her, and then he just sort of sullenly starts to eat food.
She reaches over and she pats your wrist, Elliot, and she says, "Why don't we carve out a little bit of time sometime this week? We have a very long dossier of slavers to kill, but I'm sure we can make a little bit of time."
Like I said, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
"Of course, darling."
And I think, they just kind of let the conversation settle for a few more minutes, before he does remember that it was suggested that Sabre talk to the Divine Victoria, and then he's like, "Why is the Divine here?"
Maeveris and Dorian exchange a look, and Maeveris has this very knowing expression, and Dorian is his eyes are rolled so hard that he can see into his own brain. And she says, "Well, funny you should ask. She is here on a diplomatic mission as a neutral party. She's trying to smooth over some tension." And Dorian says, "Oh yeah, that's how you want to phrase it. Smooth over tension," she says.
Why would they consider the Divine neutral here? Aren't the two factions divided, at each other's throats?
Maeveris says, Oh, yes, they are, dear. I don't mean she's neutral in terms of the Chantry. She's neutral between Tevinter and Kunindar. And you realize she's talking about the Divine being a mediator to end the war between Tevinter and the Kyun, which is that doesn't make sense. Tevinter and Kunindar have been at war for centuries. You can't just end that. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think his face takes on kind of a thinking EXE fail.
Error 404.
Yes. What?
Dorian says,
Excuse me, sorry.
No, I agree. He says, it's like, yes, I completely agree. I also think it's a bunch of horse shit.
Why now?
Mayveris says, well, because it is a special project of Divine Victoria, you see. She has rededicated the Southern Chantry to the principles upon which it was founded. Charity, peace, prosperity, Dorian says, that sort of bullshit,
I think Ellian internally is like, hey! But he's too polite to say that at the table.
How dare you? Cassandra, presumably you have some thoughts about an end to the war between Tevinter and Kunadar. It's also probably just as unimaginable to you.
I feel like, Ellian is trying to be, I put polite TM, as, in my notes, polite in parentheses TM. Yeah, trying to be like, I'm not going to try to insult anybody at this table, but at the same time, ooh. I'm just, looking at Ellian clearly he's got thoughts that he doesn't want to share with the table. That's true story, fine.
Not like he wants the war, but, they insulted the Chantry, and he's a little religious. Not a lot, but a little.
In between bites, I'm kind of just is it even possible to end such a war?
Mayveris says, well, that's certainly the hope. At the same time, Dorian says, no, it's absolutely not possible.
There seems to be some disagreement.
Mayveris says, yes, he loves to make that known. Dorian says, I'm just saying, Tevinter and Kunandar are not just enemies, they're comfortable enemies. We fight each other when we're bored, when we have a sore back, when we're having a bad day. That's not the sort of enmity that you can just end with a peace summit. Mayveris says, but the Arishok himself is coming to Tevinter in a month. And that probably gets your attention, Cassandra.
My fork just drops. I'm like, the what?
Mayveris, it finally seems to occur to Mayveris. Oh, sweetheart, it's okay. She reaches across the table and she pats your arm. She says, it's okay. You're not going to be in any danger. We'll protect you.
He cannot find me here.
It's okay. She actually scoots her chair over to you and pats at your back gently. He's like, you're going to be fine. We won't let him anywhere near you. I swear. And Sabre, you already rolled once for Kyun, and as I recall, it was a pretty okay roll. It was a 11 or a 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good for me. Oh, I think I said because I had a
yeah, because you had a
Telvashov
fellow mercenary, and you
Yes.
learned a little bit about the Kyun from him. So you actually know who the Arishok is. Like everyone under the Kyun, Arishok is not a name; it's a title. Arishok in this case meaning, I think technically it means leader or general. Okay, so basically he's the Kyun king. The king of the Kyun.
There we go.
The highest ranking, the most powerful. It's not a hereditary position, it's appointed. And yeah, that for the Arishok to come to Tevinter for a peace summit, that's like saying, yes, the unicorns have come down from the mountain to make treat with the fairies. That doesn't even make any fucking sense.
I think I'm just at the end of the table and I've been staring blankly between everybody, and at hearing that that the Arishok is coming too. I just sort of look at all and what is this? What does this all mean?
Mayveris says, well, hopefully it will mean the end to the war between Tevinter and Kunandar.
I sort of shake my head, the kind of gesture you make whenever you're just someone is talking nonsense. And I say, the Shem fight. They always fight.
Dorian says, for once, we are in agreement. Mayveris says, I just disagree that this is the natural state of things. It doesn't have to be this way. And this newly appointed Arishok, well, relatively newly appointed, seems reasonable, comparatively.
I think I look over at Cassandra whenever she says that.
Right?
Is she talking some bullshit? What's going on?
Cassandra, would you want to roll plus Kyun to see how much you know about the Arishok, or...
Yeah.
Whoa!
Okay.
17! Fucking show off.
Nice.
So, yeah, with the 17, let's, With the 17, I think you might have actually perhaps you were there. Maybe you were a young kid when he was appointed Arishok. Like, the Kyun doesn't really stand on a whole lot of ceremony, but for something as auspicious as a new Arishok, it was, certain arrangements were made. It would have been about 7 or 8 years ago, so you would have been Cerebas by then, and it was probably like the first time you had been let outside since you became Cerebas. And you remember there was this huge fanfare surrounding it, and the only thing you really remember about the Arishok in the ceremony was that he didn't have horns, which is unusual for Kunari, and there is an old wives' tale. Well, there are no wives out of the kin. Whatever. There's an old wives' tale that Kunari who are born without horns are destined for something strange.
Yeah, that would have been spoopy. Like, to see like a dude with no horns. Like, hey, this is the guy that's going to be in charge of all of you. It's like, what?
And he's destined for something strange. Ominous.
Yeah, super ominous. Yeah, so I feel like when Sabrae looks at me, I just kind of like look at Mayveris and look back at Sabrae, and I'm like, no, reasonable is not something that we have.
Mayveris she actually looks kind of sad, and she reaches out again, and she's still like patting your back. And she says, have some faith in your culture, my darling. I know that you of all people have little reason to, but for your own sake, so you can sleep at night, maybe?
Maybe.
That's the spirit. Dorian says, yeah, that's the spirit. Hope so you don't go crazy. That's our motto here at the Lucerni.
There we go.
Mayveris says, speaking of which, it might actually be a good idea if one of the Lucerni was seen speaking with Divine Victoria. It would be good to get our foot in the door, so to speak. She already has plenty of reason to show some favoritism, but it couldn't hurt to rub that in the other Magisters' faces a little bit. Dorian says, any interest? Looking at the three of you. I mean, if you're interested in joining the Lucerni, that is.
Is there some sort of stupid ceremony we have to perform?
And both Dorian and Mayveris at the same time are like, God, no, absolutely not, no.
Oh, thank God. Then I'm in.
Mayveris looks at you, Cassandra, and says temptingly, you'll get to kill a lot of slavers.
It is a tempting thought.
Dorian looks at you, Elliot, and he's like, you could, I don't know, maybe political power? I don't really know you that well yet. Is that something that you might be after, political power? The food is great in Tevinter. So we've got that.
You had
going
me
for
at
us.
killing slavers.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you can get on the killing slavers train too.
You can practice that rapier a little.
I don't know where you got the idea I can't use this.
I've never seen you use it.
You literally have seen him use it. You saw him use it like the night before.
I know, but still.
I just give you this, like, look. And just ignore.
Yeah, I look like between Elian and Sabrae, and yeah, this is going to be hilarious, but because of the way that she grew up, like, the warrior is always the one who is top, so she assumes that Sabrae is in charge.
Oh no. Oh no.
I know.
So she just looks at Elian and she's like, why can't you just do what he says? He is in charge, right?
What?
I look horrified, and I turn to Cassandra and I go, I am most certainly not in charge of anything.
Dorian's like, I'm the one who formed the Lucerni. If anyone's in charge, it's me. And Mayveris delicately clears her throat. And by me, I mean Mayveris, obviously, is the one in charge, because she's been doing all the legwork for several years while I was off fopping about with the Inquisition.
I sort of like think about that and I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense than you. No offense.
None taken, I guess?
That's so good.
You are very capable, but yes, it is her. You are right.
All right, you're all jumping on the Mayveris is in charge bandwagon just a little too quickly.
She does seem like she'd be better at being in charge.
Okay, wow, rude. I let you into my home, I free you from slavery, and this is the thanks I get.
You just talk too much for somebody in charge.
Well, by that metric, you should be the one in charge.
I'd be very bad at that. I get up and like slam my spear down, and I'm like, "So when are we leaving?"
Everyone assembled at the table just sort of stares at you, and Mayveris is like, "To see Divine Victoria or to kill slavers?"
Honestly, either.
She says, "Well, it's a little late to go calling on Divine Victoria now, but we could go in the morning, I suppose. You could send word, couldn't you, Dorian?" Dorian sort of, I suppose, yes. Don't get me wrong, Liliana was never my favorite member of the Inquisition. She always terrified me just a little bit. But yes, we're on good enough terms. I could arrange a visit. Who would you want to take with you? And the character select screen pops up. Your current options to take with you to meet Divine Victoria are Dorian, Mayveris, Leander, Zevran, Talgan, and that's it. Those are the only options.
So as far as we know, this is not like a big battle-y that could be. I don't know.
I mean, it could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we.
I mean, this is me, so it very well could turn into a battle, but...
Right.
Yeah. So we should take the person who knows her, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was thinking Zevran for sure because, like, they came
Dorian
together.
also knows her.
Also
Yes,
that.
Dorian.
That's what I was saying. I was like, Zevran, yeah.
But
did
that's
the
true. Zevran also
hero.
did travel with Liliana.
Yeah.
Ages and ages ago.
Many,
They would both be
many
good
moons.
choices.
What do you guys think?
And of course, Mayveris has the charm offensive.
Right. And, I mean, for personal K reasons, I want Mayveris.
Bring my girlfriend!
Right. Exactly. I'm like, let my romance start.
I mean, honestly, it would be delightful to watch your girlfriend flirt with this divine.
Oh, that'd be... Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I smell
Like-
a threesome!
Like, just for that, I would actually like to argue, please, let's do that. Okay, well, I vote for Mayveris.
Yes, I want that too.
Mayveris?
Sure.
I mean, technically, it sounds like Val is outvoted, so...
Right, I was like 2 versus 1.
So you all decide, you talk amongst each other for a bit, and he says, well, Dorian and Zevran both know her personally, but then again, Mayveris has that charm thing going on. And Mayveris is like, it's settled then! Yay! Oh, I can't wait to get to know her better. She seems just delightful.
I'm just looking around. Sabre is horrified at everything that has gone down. He's just realized this is going to be the most talkative mission ever.
It's diplomacy. He's like,
I know, and he's very bad at it.
Cassandra, you have your first dream not about Parvalan.
oh boy.
In fact, your dream is in Minrathis, and specifically in the backyard of the Pavis estate, that Four Seasons looking area with like the little wading pool and the beautiful garden. And all of the people you consider your friends
Question mark.
are there, which is who? You tell me who that is.
Good question. I feel like I've spoken most to Elian, and like we've been traveling together, so I would probably like at least include Sabre in there. It's like friend remains to be seen. But these are the people that had weird shit happen to them at the same time. They got captured with me, so here's the triangle.
Anyone else? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, I'd say like also she's like I'm starting to maybe hopefully a little bit trust. It's like at least I'm staying in Dorian's house, so it's like Dorian should at least have some presence. Yeah, Mayveris should be there because I want her to be.
Because someone has a crush.
Right.
You're not quite sure why she's there, but she's really nice, so yeah.
Right, yeah. She's very reassuring.
That's a good question. Is Cassandra aware that she has a crush?
Oh, for sure no. For sure no. Like what does that mean?
Oh, good.
That's delightful.
Like, wow, this beautiful woman that I'm intensely interested in just happens to be in my dreams. I'm sure that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, probably not. It's just,
It's just a
fade
thing.
stuff.
Demons or something. So you are dreaming. You are out in the back of the Pavis estate, and I can see, well, just based on their characters and what I know of, like Dorian's probably sunbathing, because of course he is. I can picture Mayveris with her like legs dangling into the wading pool, and she's probably got a big sun hat on, and she's swinging her legs and being adorable. And I don't know, what about Elian and Sabre? What would they be doing in this extremely tranquil and nice dream?
If they relaxed ever.
If they relaxed ever, how would they relax?
I mean, music, obviously.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Elian probably off to the side, strumming on a mountain dulcimer.
Sabray, what you doing? If you were to relax.
I don't.
Right, but pretend that your brother's still alive, and if you were, what would you do?
I guess I'd be fishing.
Fishing in the wading pond?
Sure.
In a man-made, like, shallow pool.
I'm going. I already said it. It already came out of my mouth, so I'm sticking with it.
Okay, well, how about this? We'll say there's like a little stock pond also at the back of the garden. Sabray is sitting under the shade of a tree and fishing. And this whole scene, Cassandra, in your dream is like extremely tranquil. Like it's just it's really nice, and you're probably not used to having dreams like this.
No, I'm like, it's peaceful? ? What the fuck?
And Mayveris turns around and she sees you and she waves and she like ushers you over here. Do you follow?
Yes.
All right, you walk over and what do? Do you sit down next to her?
Yeah, let's say I'll sit down next to her and I'll also dip my toes in.
And the water is nice and cool, and there's like sunlight glittering off the surface, and this dream is just great. This is so nice, and everything feels great. And everyone is like talking, but in like that indistinct way of a dream, like where you know they are saying things, but what they're saying is not important so much as the tenor of how they say it. Like you can see Elian probably making fun of Sabray for fishing in such a small pond. And you can see Dorian making snark about probably like everything, just everything. Yeah. That's his only setting. And it's all just really, really nice. And the first concrete voice that you hear in this otherwise very pleasant dream comes from behind you. And it's a female's voice. And she says, "Wow, this is lovely."
I definitely turn around and like see who's talking.
And the face is familiar. Go ahead and roll willpower self-discipline, Cassandra.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great roll. An 18. You immediately recognize who that is. It's the same strange elven woman with the long tangled white blonde hair. Except this time she's standing upright instead of huddled in fear, and she's looking out across this really beautiful tranquil scene, and she says, Are these all your friends?
Who are you? Why are you here again?
She comes shuffling over toward you, and she has this sort of hesitant but like really genuinely warm smile, and she says, "I'm Faith. Do you know all these people? They seem really nice. Just really lovely."
"I do, but I don't know you, Faith."
"Oh. Well, I know you. A little bit, anyway. I've been watching you. Some. It's kind of difficult, but you seem very..." And she kind of tilts her head at you. She's wringing her hands. She's wearing this really plain, sort of dirty, almost like toga kind of article of clothing that, that drapes over one shoulder and leaves the other bare. And she says, "You seem like you've had a really hard life, but you haven't let that break you completely."
"How have you been watching me?"
She sort of shrugs, and "I haven't really had much of a choice." She comes and she walks toward you, and she looks at the spot beside you, sort of hesitating, as if to ask, "Is it okay if I sit here?"
I pause for a really long time and then slowly nod.
She is barefoot. Her feet are kind of dirty and calloused, and she sits down before you, and she seems to really enjoy dipping her feet in the water, and she says, "It looks like you've made really good friends. Are they as safe out there as they seem to be in here?"
"No."
Her face falls. "Why?"
"There is always going to be something hunting me, but especially that one." I point to Sabray, who's still probably trying to fish.
She kind of cranes her head around and looks at Sabray, and she says, "Oh, he wears the markings. Yes, I can imagine that many things would try to hunt him down.
And he hunts many things as well.
I suppose turnabout is fair play. She says, would you let me help you? Protect them?
What do you mean?
It's just, they seem like they're really important to you now, and that means they should be important to me too. So if you want, I can help you.
I definitely am looking at her like extremely warily, like everything I have been taught about being in the Fade and demons, spirits. This is why I was Cerebas, a dangerous thing. I cannot let you help me. I do not know you.
She cants her head to the side and she says, "What's a demon?"
A bad spirit, evil, twisted.
She says, "Oh, well, I'm not a spirit, and you're not a danger to anything."
Many would disagree with you. I am a mage, and my access to magic makes me dangerous.
She says, "What's a mage?"
Oh boy, that's a really good, deep question. It's everything that I am. It's my connection to the Fade and magic.
She leans in and she says, "What's the Fade?"
I just sort of like stop and stare like, what? You don't know?
No.
But we're in it.
We are? She looks around sort of startled. Is the Fade always like this?
No. I sometimes can shape it, but no.
Oh, so can I. And she pulls both her hands up and she thrusts them out, palms first, and the water suddenly turns bright green.
Okay.
And she like claps her hands delightedly and she says, "I always liked green better than blue."
It's a baby demon.
Oh, you can change it too, so you must have some connection. You really didn't know about the Fade?
No, I've never heard that word before. I know what magic is, of course, but I've never heard of the Fade. She clambers up to her feet and she sort of shakes the water off from her legs and she says, if you don't want me to help you, I suppose that's fine. But please let me know if you decide to change your mind." She looks around and she says, "Your friends seem very nice." And she smiles and she says, "I had friends like these once. And I'll help you if I can."
What happened to them? Your friends?
She stares at you for a really long time, and it takes a while, but eventually her face falls, and she says, I don't remember." Sabre, okay, so I know what your reoccurring dream is.
Yeah.
Does he ever dream about anything else, or is it only that dream?
I think it's just variations on that dream. It's like slightly different every time, but it's always that dream.
Okay. So in that case, you're probably not too surprised to find yourself in your dream in a Dalish camp. This one is empty, however. There are no like corpses strewn about anywhere. There are a couple Aravels with deep blue canvas that covers them. There are a couple tents set up around the outside. There's a big bonfire in the middle. And you are pretty much alone, or at least you are initially. You look across the fire, and there is an elf sitting across from you. The first thing you probably notice is this dude doesn't have a fucking Valisline, so what the hell is he doing in a Dalish camp?
Yep. And also he's not dead, so that's weird.
Yeah, also he's alive, which is also strange for how these dreams usually go.
I think I just sort of walk over to him and I go, "I don't think you should be here."
The elf looks up at you, and his mouth sort of half twists into a smile, and he says, "I've been wondering that same thing for a long time." He says, "I'm Lannan. Dorian probably should have warned you that I would be coming."
Oh. Yeah, he did tell me that he was coming. Yes. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it takes you a minute because you are still in a dream, and consciously dreaming while you're not a mage is pretty difficult. But yeah, go ahead and roll willpower self-discipline to see how well you pull this off, or if Landon's gonna need to help you.
Oh god, it's gonna go really poorly is what it's gonna go. Oh god.
Wow, terrible.
Yike.
Yeah, bad.
Just awful.
Yeah.
He says Dorian should have warned you, and you kind of stare at him like, who the fuck is Dorian? Like, so far as you know, this is your camp. Like, this is the Dalish camp you grew up in, and you don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. Dorian? Look, do you know where Ren is? Or Meryl? Keeper Mathari? They're supposed to be around somewhere.
He says, wow, you're pretty deep in it, huh? He stands up, he presses 2 fingers to your forehead, and there's this very short, like, burst of magic that just hits you. And all at once, you are a little more cognizant. And you slowly things start to reboot in your head, and you remember now. Ren is dead, Meryl is gone, Keeper Maratheri you haven't seen since you buried her body on the side of Sundermount 5 years ago.
Oh god. I stumbled backwards. I think, like, I don't like magic at all.
He says, sorry. It's really just the fastest way. I didn't want to have to, like, explain. It's just, it takes a long time to explain. And let's try this again. Hi, I'm Lennon.
Hi, Lannon. Lannon Llewellyn.
Yeah, Dorian probably mentioned that I was...
Dorian did mention something about... Is this a dream?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's sort of a amalgamation of your camp and my camp, I think. Because it's not quite like my camp. And I don't think it's quite yours either.
I, turn slowly, look around. Well, it's definitely not home. We're not entirely home. This is very weird.
We are Dalish. We don't really have a home in the permanent sense. And also, this dude saying he's Dalish...
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right, because if he's Dalish, he should have a Valisline.
He absolutely should. He's an adult, he should have a Valisline.
Okay. I think when he says he's Dalish again, I sort of squint at him, and I give him a look.
He stares at you in uncomprehending silence for a minute, and then it finally seems to occur to him. Oh! He, touches his face briefly, he's like, right,
And I go, yes.
Yeah, that. Well, I suppose I could explain that on top of everything else I have to get through in this brief 8-hour window. He says, Dorian said that you would need an explanation as to how I know what I know about Solus Fenharel.
Dorian was right.
He said you wouldn't believe it coming from a Shemlin, which I get that. Trust me, I get it.
What he said didn't make any sense. I had to talk to someone who knew.
I know. He says, as a warning, this is not going to be easy to hear.
Nothing in life is easy.
Solus joined the Inquisition before me. There's a rush of air and magic all around you as Inquisitor Llewellyn, with a dismissive half-gesture of his one remaining hand, reshapes the fade around you. Suddenly you're in a snow-drenched mountain village. A second, younger Lannon stands a few feet away, with both hands and a beautiful Valisline, beside another elf, bald and barefaced. They're chatting quietly, inaudible over the wind. For a moment, you're breathless with the suddenness of it, how easily he completely transformed your surroundings. In those early days, we two were the only mages, the only elves. He wasn't Dalish, but he knew so much. He was a somniari, he said, a dreamer, and when he slept, he was able to control his dreams with full consciousness. He didn't just study history, he experienced it, as it was reflected in the Fade. I knew right away I liked him. He liked me too, though not in the same way. Lannon gestures again. The scene shifts, image to image to image, fast, but not so fast you can't comprehend each one. This is a dream, after all, and even brief impressions tell whole stories. You experience long conversations about magical theory even as you never hear a word of them. You see battles out in the backwoods of Ferelden, where Lannon and Solus stand back to back as they take down demons and darkspawn and Templars with red eyes. You see Lannon leaning forward toward Solus without even realizing he's doing it. You see Solus smiling, mildly, and keeping him at arm's length. I fell in love with him. The feeling wasn't mutual. You are unique, Inquisitor, Solus says. They're standing together in a misty grotto by the edge of a pond. Lannon still has both hands and his Valasleen, and he is staring at Solus with adoration he's unable to conceal. You have shown wisdom beyond your years and compassion beyond all expectation. I know how it is you feel for me, and I feel I owe you the truth. This was the day he took my Valasleen. The truth. Solus stares down, swallows. Something breaks on his face, almost imperceptible. Your markings. The Valasleen. Slave markings, he called them. That was their original meaning. He'd seen it in his journeys in the Fade. The elves of ancient Arlathan used Valasleen to mark their slaves, and the Dalish forgot. Tears are running down the other Lannon's face. They honor the elven gods! Yes, Solus answers sadly. The master would mark their slaves to honor their preferred god. The Valasleen is not a mark of pride, it's a mark of servitude. If you like, I know a spell. A spell to remove the Valasleen. You deserve more than what those cruel marks represent. A flash of several images. A tearful Lannon nodding weakly. A soft glow of blue-green magic. Lannon, barefaced, staring up at Solus. There, Solus whispers. Arlasa malarevas. You are free. You are so beautiful. Both versions of Lannon, the one in the dream and the one beside you, hitch their breath as Solus very nearly leans in to kiss him. The scene shifts quickly. He disappeared the day I killed Corypheus. A broken, rocky battlefield. Lannon, barefaced, both hands, comes staggering down a set of stairs, victorious but wounded. He looks back just once and sees Solus standing at the top. Whatever happens, you should know, Solus says. I did love you in my way. And then I didn't see him for 2 years. He was just gone. No explanation. One moment he was there, and the next he wasn't. His absence hurt me, but I told myself it was better. Better not to pine for a man who couldn't love me like I loved him. Better to move on. And then he had the audacity to show up again, just as the wound was healing. And I learned that everything he told me about himself was a lie. Maharo Lhasa! You lied to me. The words echo with no images. The true Lannon, barefaced, one hand, has a look of dread. Whatever he's about to show you, Sabre, he doesn't look like he's going to enjoy it. I can show you Arlathan, Lethalan, or at least the parts of it I saw. The great library at the heart of the mightiest city our people have ever built. And you can see it now, but it's not what you expected to see. It's crumbling, but not in the ways you'd think it would be. The books are intact, but huge swaths of wall are missing, like they've dissolved away. In the distance, great rows of shelves and hallways and walkways are scattered, some of them upside down, others inside out. It's beautiful, but broken in unnatural ways, like the whole structure has been twisted apart from itself and scattered underwater. If you listened to your keeper, you know that no one has ever found the ruins of Arlathan. Did that ever strike you as odd? How could a city so huge and a civilization so mighty leave not a single trace of itself anywhere? Where did all that infrastructure go? The answer, as it turns out, is nowhere. The ruins of Arlathan are exactly where they were built. In the Fade. Arlathan existed in a time before the Veil, when magic was everywhere, an intrinsic part of nature, as omnipresent and commonplace as air. And it wasn't the Tevinter Imperium that destroyed it. It was me, Solus says. He and Lannon are standing together on a broken fragment of garden. Lannon's left arm is suffused with crackling green magic that snaps and snarls all the way to his elbow. I created the Veil, and I sundered the magical from the physical. For an empire built on magic, it was enough to destroy it utterly. That was where your legends came from. The Dread Wolf tricked the gods, trapped them in the beyond. That's how the story goes, and that's how it happened, more or less, though some details varied. I saved the slaves of the Elven Empire, Solus says, and in so doing, I destroyed their world. You're the Dread Wolf, Lannon answers. The magic on his arm seems to be causing him some pain. What is that old Dalish phrase? Fen harel mahalam? May the Dreadwolf take you. And so he did. Maker. More images, more words. I am sorry to have caused you pain, Venan. Don't call me that. Don't you dare call me that. Live well with what time remains. A burst of magic. Lannon screams as Solus severs his arm at the elbow with a short, decisive spell. The magic that had been crawling up his shoulder abruptly vanishes. I did love you in my way. If you let me live, I'm coming to stop you. I know, Venan. A kiss, brief. Sincere on Solus's end, spiteful on Lannon's. And then the images stop. You're back in the woods, in your empty Dalish camp. Lannon is sitting across from you on the opposite side of the fire. He looks tired. Any questions? Elian.
Yeah.
You are dreaming. At first you think you are dreaming about Bastien again.
Okay.
Because you're standing in Bastien's bedroom, and that really emotional linchpin moment in your life when he was dying and Vivian was standing there spewing venom at you. But you realize that's not where your focus is drawn in this dream. Your focus is drawn across the room at Lannon instead, who is standing there just sort of smiling aimlessly at you. Go ahead and roll willpower self-discipline. Oh, wow.
We all got
crap.
2 6s. What the fuck, dude? So yeah, with a fucking 18, you know a couple things right away. You know that, A, you're dreaming again. You seem to be getting really good at this conscious dreaming thing. Maybe Lannon did something to you the first time you walked into your dream. You're not 100% sure. But you are aware of that. The other thing you're aware of is that this is not Lannon. Like, the last time you experienced him, it was very clear, it was very deliberate. He was talking to you independent of your will. In this dream, you think this is just regular dream Lannon.
Okay.
So you are both consciously aware that you're dreaming and consciously aware that this is not the real Lannon. What's going through your head in this moment when you realize you're actually not dreaming about Bastien?
I think he's kind of startled. And probably a little sad. He didn't like ever seeing this scene again, but it is a memory of him. So it's kind of like, I don't know, he feels a little like he's backsliding a bit, like, oh no, bad dreams again?
It hasn't gotten bad so far. Mostly it's just sort of this strangely ethereal scene that used to be very sad, but now feels sort of neutral and almost kind of sunshiny. Everything is just a little bit overlit. The gold is a little too gold. The blue is a little too blue.
And there's no Vivienne in the room.
She's in the room, but she's like ignorable. You know what I mean? Like for the first time, she's not dominating your attention. It's the only thing that's really drawing your focus is this image of Lannon, this dream Lannon, obviously, not the real one.
Yeah. So is he separate from Vivienne?
He's standing where he was the first time, the first real encounter you had with him, slightly behind her and off to the side.
Okay. I know, I guess I go a little closer, maybe? I'm just kind of curious.
He sort of smiles at you vaguely. He's looking at you, but he's not really seeing you, because this is definitely not actual Lannon, this is definitely just your mind's projection. No, this is the Fade, so it's like a spirit impersonating Lannon, because it's reacting to your brain. And as you are studying him with a little more detail, it's kind of a faithful rendition of him. It's not 100% accurate, but it seems benign, at least. Like, it's not a demon impersonating him, it's just a regular spirit.
Okay.
Not that you know what the fuck, not that you know the difference between spirits and demons. Like, the presence isn't malevolent. But you're so caught up in, studying Lannon that for a second you don't even realize it until suddenly it's all you can realize. There's a shadow growing behind him. And it starts off kind of small, but then it really gets big. It gets very, very big. And you look up a little bit, and behind him is this, it must be 12, 15 feet tall, this massive, hulking black wolf with 6 bright red eyes staring down at you.
Hey, scramble back.
The wolf doesn't make an aggressive posture, at least not at first. It sort of leans its head down and sort of like scents around this image of Lennon. And Lennon, for his part, doesn't even look like he notices. He just kind of vaguely looks over his shoulder and smiles aimlessly at the wolf behind him. The wolf quickly loses interest in this spirit, and all 6 of its eyes look at you.
I don't like that.
One massive paw rises over his shoulder and sets down as it starts walking toward you.
I am scrambling backwards, and I'm trying frantically to remember how I managed to change my dream last time.
Go ahead and make another self-discipline roll. With a 17, you shut your eyes very, very tightly in the dream, and you concentrate all your will, and you wake up shaking and panting and coated in cold sweat.
Yeah.
It's maybe 2 o'clock in the morning.
I think I scramble out of bed and just, like, rush to the bathroom, wash my face, try to wake up a little further.
Yeah, the image is still lingering in the back of your mind. It was really, really clear and fucking terrifying. Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes in pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/cfcdiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/cfcchannel, or wherever you get your podcasts.